Greetings, my name is Chamomile and this is an exploration of the entire galaxy sector by sector. Today, we're looking at the Suolriep Sector of 12th Cerulean Spear Command. This sector is home to Lithia, homeworld of the Lithian Pirates, a planet which is otherwise not at all important, but that name sure sounds cool. Suolriep Sector is allegedly home to the planet of Laboi 2, home to a sentient species of furry wolf snakes, a tribal, predatory species who are never able to adapt galactic standard technology because they lack limbs. The chimeric alien appearance is pretty standard for spacer tales, and although there is some kind of actual explanation for why these guys never joined the greater galactic community, it's still weird that a species on the doorstep of Hutt space, where the border between the Hutts and Tion, including after Tion was part of the Republic, went back and forth multiple times, and no one ever really paid these guys or their home planet much attention. But would it be 12th Cerulean if there was only one unconfirmed alien species? The Tefon are blue-skinned, bulgy-eyed aliens supposedly from the planet Tefau. There are a handful of Tefons who come up in Tales of the Outer Rim as, like, some random banker or something, but they're one of those species that supposedly deposited money for Lando Calrissian or forwarded a call for Han Solo or whatever. It's always suspicious when the only record of a species' existence is a brief encounter with a celebrity scoundrel known to encourage spacer tales about their most roguish years. A confirmed species from Suolriep Sector is the Hauks. Hauks are big burly aliens, sometimes said to be the strongest humanoids in the galaxy, the only species stronger than a Wookiee, but spacers love their superlatives, and as far as I know this has never been studied, so grain of salt. The Hauks are actually split off into their own Ansuruor subsector, which has separate Senate representation from the rest of Suolriep Sector, so not sure why it isn't just the sector then, but officially it is not. My outside guess is that it's because this is one of the sectors added to the Republic after the Fourth Pius Dea Crusade, when the Republic bit off the Hutt Empire's spinmost territories in the early Republic era. The Pius Dea were big on high human culture and had a nasty habit of cramming lots of alien species into a single sector, because hey, all those aliens are basically alike, right? And possibly some subsectors were broken out later on in the Old Republic and especially High Republic eras, when the Republic was more committed to the tradition of sectors being the domain of a particular culture. Suolriep Sector is also home to the Ayatra subsector, a planet run by a council of the chiefs of 8 police precincts, which is weirdly meta. Like, the purpose of the police is to enforce the laws of the government, so if the police are the government, then the only purpose of the government is to exist. All governments need to continue existing to achieve any other goal, but it's weird to see a planet with such an open governing tradition where the only purpose is to continue to exist and not to preserve or propagate any kind of ideology like freedom or nobility or whatever. And these 8 precincts were originally 8 distinct military traditions, like the Calandran Royal Forces, Larathi Guard, and the Gengardan Millennial Warriors, which finally sorted their shit out to unite into a planetary government only in the High Republic era. The Ayatrans rule the subsector of Ayatra, which is part of Suolriep Sector despite being, as far as I can tell, exactly like a regular sector in every other way. Saleucami is semi-famous for being the home of a clone deserter. A couple of battles were fought there during the Clone Wars, but it was pretty under-garrisoned. When General Grievous went down there early in the war and Obi-Wan Kenobi pursued him, neither side had huge armies lying around to back them up, and they wound up chasing each other around the wilderness for a while before Grievous escaped the planet. At no point was trying to reach Separatist lines ever a goal, so it doesn't seem like the Separatists had any front lines on the planet. The Separatists deployed a bigger army there later in the war, but they got kicked off pretty quick. Stas Ali was patrolling with garrison forces when Order 66 came down. Vespara is in Suolriep Sector, home to the Grand Arena where the Hunters of the Outer Rim is filmed, so if you're a fan of that show, then now you know where exactly in the Outer Rim that takes place. Obi-Wan Kenobi went on a mission to the planet of Suolriep in this sector. I bring this up for only 2 reasons. Number 1, the Republic nearly named this sector after Suolriep, which would have been a much better name. And 2, this was after Obi-Wan had his glorious hair, but before he had his glorious beard, and it looks wrong. Satine Kryze thought Obi-Wan should shave his beard, and that's why the Death Watch won the war. Suolriep Sector was the site of the border between the furthest extent of the Tion hegemony under Zim the Despot and the Hutt Empire in the era just before the formal establishment of the Republic. One of the more densely populated planets of the region is Bunta, formerly known as Kovari when it was still controlled by the Tianese. After Zim's defeat at Vontor, the planet was recaptured by Cossack the Hutt, and much later renamed after Bunta the Hutt, the general who defeated Zim at Vontor. Bunta Eve is a celebration of Bunta the Hutt's victory over Zim and the height of the Hutt Empire's power in the early Republic era, and is naturally celebrated intensely on Bunta. According to legend, the original Bunta's Eve pod races used Tianese prisoners captured in the wars with Zim who were forced to race, and the losers would be executed. It's not clear if the Bunta Eve celebrations were continuous since the defeat of Zim, although the Hutts claimed they were, but there's some evidence that actually the holiday is a relatively recent effort by the Hutts to recapture the spirit of their glory days. The renaming of the planet Bunta occurred in the High Republic era after the dissolution of the Hutt Empire in favor of the more fuzzy borders of Hutt space, which expand and retract fluidly as Hutt criminal enterprises put down roots unnoticed and eventually get chased off when they grow wild enough for the Republic/Empire to notice and care. But back in the days of Zim the Despot, when Bunta the Hutt captured Kovari, broke the back of the mighty Tion cluster, and stretched the shadow of the Hutts over the entirety of the slice, for half a second, the Hutts nearly had total galactic domination within their grasp.